And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast presented by our good friends at the Holy Grail. If you're down at the banks, make sure you're stopping by the Holy Grail. Get yourself something good to drink, some awesome food, cold beverages. As today was kind of that preview of where we're about to be. 75 degrees, beautiful day out. That brings people out to the banks, out to Dora, and make sure you're stopping by and supporting our friends at the Holy Grail. As we always say, they support us, so it would be great for you to support them. Let's get this show on the road. We're back in our normal Wednesday, 8 p.m. time slot. No basketball game tonight, so we are back on our regular schedule. As always, joined by David Simone and a special guest, super special guest tonight as we are working our way. Your guest, you're coach number one after having sat on, so no pressure.
All right, that's not bad. I'll take it.
We are joined by new quarterback coach Pete Thomas, who comes to Cincinnati from Louisville, and a very good resume for a young guy breaking into the business and one of the hot names in the assistant coaching world. So, Pete, welcome to the show. Welcome to the network, and it's awesome to have you on and joining us for the first time.
Yeah, man, appreciate you guys having me on. Obviously, seen a lot of your stuff and heard a lot about you guys, so glad to be on.
All of it good, I'm sure.
All of it great.
So, you, what year actually did your playing career stop?
Yeah, so my last year in college was 2014 at Louisiana Monroe. And then after that, I was in rookie mini camp with the Chargers and Giants and did the substitute teaching thing and coached at my high school, played 1 year of arena ball for the LA Kiss. It was crazy 4 months, but a good time. And then I started coaching.
So what do you think as you're getting into this world and you're experiencing now, how much of a strength is it to be able to relate to these guys? That you're a guy that not too long ago was in their shoes. How much does that help?
Yeah, I think it's crucial. I mean, it's not the end all be all for sure.
Sure.
But it definitely is a positive, I think. Just getting done playing, 8 years ago, something like that. And then also playing the position that you're coaching, I think is somewhat important. Obviously, there's a lot of good coaches that haven't played the position, but I think
sure.
It definitely doesn't hurt, being a younger guy and playing the quarterback position, now coaching quarterbacks, I definitely think it's positive.
Dave?
So you went to Louisville, met up with Coach Satterfield, had your own room for 2 years there. Yep. What was, kind of the experience of like getting your own room, and what were kind of the things that you learned about yourself as a coach and learned from 1 year to the next, and now you're going to bring here to UC?
Yeah, when I was at App State with Coach Satt as a GA and QC, I worked with the tight ends, worked with the quarterbacks, and my first 2 years at Louisville, I was actually the offensive line QC, which really, really, really helped me out. I worked for Dwayne Ledford, and he's with the Falcons now, and just learned more about football and the run game and the whole picture up front. And then after the 2020 season, our quarterback coach left, and Coach Sapp promoted me to quarterback coach. And it was obviously, I was very, very happy and, glad to be back with the quarterbacks after playing quarterback for so long. And definitely learned a lot. I felt like I was ready at the time. But then you quickly realize running your own room, especially at the Power 5 level, is a lot different than just sitting back being a QC, not dealing with all the day-to-day stuff running your own room. So it was definitely a learning experience. Obviously I'm not done learning, still learning every single day from, some of these older coaches and whatnot. But I feel like I settled in pretty quickly. And obviously having Coach Satt, he was quarterback guy for, over 20 years, definitely kind of helped me moving along and realizing what's truly important when running your own room.
When you guys work things through, whether it's game planning or install, and you have a head coach that calls plays, and then there's an offensive coordinator, and then yourself, offensive line coach, like do you have a specific role in all of that you tend to focus on, or does everybody just kind of do a little bit of everything?
Yeah, one of the very unique things about Coach Satt is obviously he calls the plays, but he takes input from everybody. He'll take input from GAs, QCs, all that stuff. And the way we game plan is a little bit different. I know some OCs or head coaches that call plays, they, walk into the assistant's desk on whatever, Monday or Tuesday and say, hey, this is what we're doing, coach it up. But that is the exact opposite of how Coach Satt has been for years, It's a collaborative effort. We're all coming up with ideas, every position coach, the coordinator, Coach Satt, the GAs, QCs, and we all kind of round table it out and decide, what's best for that week, how to run a certain play. And I think it's been very successful. It's been really successful for Coach Satt going back 20 years and, been very successful for us the last couple of years at Louisville.
As a young coach, take me through that process of finding your voice in coaching, because quarterbacks obviously always have a voice. They always have a say in things, but how do you transition that into, okay, now I'm the guy that's running the room, and in a different way, I'm the guy that's kind of leading the pack?
Yeah, I think the number one thing to do, especially as younger coaches, is be yourself. Don't try to be anyone else. Don't try to be something you're not, because in my opinion, the players can kind of see right through it. If you're not the screaming personality and you're going out there yelling and this and that, I think the players are going to see right through it. So I think the number one thing that's helped me is just being myself. I'm not a screamer. I'm not a yeller. I'm a laid back guy. And that's kind of how I am and how I, coach quarterbacks. And just being yourself, I think, definitely resonates with the players and kind of gains that respect in kind of a different way.
You're at Louisville. You're getting ready for bowl season. You're getting comfortable at Louisville, getting settled in, and all of a sudden you get the call, hey, we're headed up I-71. Take me through that process for you, because you were one of the first guys that was kind of on board and headed this way.
Yeah, I was actually out in California recruiting, and we had a staff Zoom call early Monday morning here, which was really early out there. I think it was 4:30 a.m. or something like that. And got the news and got the call and came up here and checked it out, and obviously very quickly decided this was, where I wanted to be and follow Coach Satt. So it was a whirlwind, 24, 48 hours. And just kind of the nature of the beast now, man. It's there's really no way around it in today's world with how college sports is. Obviously it sucks. We would love to stay and finish out the season and coach a bowl game, but the way it is now, it's very, very, very hard to do that.
You've been with Coach Satterfield now, as you said, multiple stops. Just what are some of the teaching philosophies or just the program culture, like the things that draw you to want to continue to work with him, and you think some of the things that make him a really good head coach to work for?
I know for a fact he's one, and I'm not just saying this, he's one of the best in the country to work for. Just kind of the culture he sets, the work environment, how he treats people, I'm sure you guys know the name Jerry Moore. You've heard probably Coach Satt talk about him a lot. I've met him a couple times. I didn't play for him or coach for him or anything like that. But his fingerprints are kind of all over Coach Satterfield and the way he operates his program. He treats, coaches, treats coaches' families, treats players the right way, and it makes you want to play hard for him, makes you want to coach hard for him, and it makes you just want to be around him, and it makes you enjoy coming to work every day. A lot of times in this business, it's not a family environment, and it's not very fun to come to work. Coach Satt's the exact opposite, and that's not just words. Anybody that has worked for him will tell you that. So that's number one, and then one of the obviously many things make him a great head coach, very successful head coach. But I think one thing that really makes him successful is, and it's kind of simplified, but he uses common sense with everything. Football wise, he uses common sense, and the building uses common sense, and it's amazing how far just using common sense with stuff and treating people the right way can take you. And that's kind of what I've taken from him over the last 6-7 years.
What do you take from your game? Obviously, every quarterback is different. Every skill set and their strengths and weaknesses are different. What do you take from what you were able to accomplish on the field to kind of impart that in the guys that you're teaching?
Man, the days of me playing quarterback are kind of over with, unless you can absolutely spin the football, 6'5", 230, that can't really move and just throw it okay are kind of over with, But I think I playing for so many different coaches and so many different offenses. At the time, I didn't realize it. Never thought I would transfer all that stuff. But now looking back on it, man, you kind of take bits and pieces from every offense, every coach that you like, that you don't like, and kind of mesh it with how you want to be as a coach, and again, I think playing the quarterback position helps in terms of everything that they do, or I teach is through the eyes of playing quarterback. And that's kind of how Coach Sad is and how he calls plays. Everything he does is through the eyes of the quarterback, But I think just having that, firsthand experience of playing quarterback at the Division I level definitely helps.
It's funny you mentioned transferring. Does that give you an edge in the transfer portal era, that you're a guy that has been there, done that? You've gone through it. You've found a new home, so to speak, when you were going through your college experience?
Yeah, obviously I thought I was going to be at Colorado State playing for that head coach all 4 years. It didn't work out that way, And I think having that experience of playing for a lot of different head coaches, good situations, bad situations, I think it can definitely help in kind of, walking through some of these guys that are thinking about leaving or not leaving or any of that stuff, that firsthand knowledge, kind of giving them the pros and cons of transferring or not transferring, definitely has some merit to it because, I've done it before the portal was out there,
I think the most interesting question people want to know, what's it like having a quarterback room with more bodies than the wide receiver room?
I've never been a part of it, man, but it is a great quarterback room. A lot of talent in there, obviously. And man, I just can't wait to get spring ball started on Monday.
That was one of the running jokes as everything was all playing out. It got down to what I think just Chris Scott and Marcus Peters.
I don't know exact numbers, but it got down for sure. It got down for sure. It's just kind of the nature of the business now, man. You can have room depleted really, really, really quickly. But that's one of the benefits of the portal too. You can also build that room up pretty quickly,
Who's your money on this week? Tyler Scott or Trey Tucker?
You know what? The Tyler Scott kid, I think can fly from what I've seen. I don't know for sure, but just from an outsider's perspective, I think he can fly.
They both ran 4.29s here.
That's pretty impressive.
So the thing is, they're both from the same area.
Okay.
Trey's 1 year older. They grew up in vans driving to AAU basketball tournaments together since they were like 7 years old.
So they really want to run faster than the other one.
Oh, yeah.
I've been seeing. Obviously, I've seen highlights of them and all that stuff. They can absolutely fly. Man. I'm excited for the combine.
Kind of mad.
For sure.
You kind of mad you don't have them for next year.
Those are some good wideouts now.
Go ahead, Dave.
So, our fans know a lot about the quarterback room, but probably don't know much about, seen him play. But Emory Jones coming in, started at Florida, started at Arizona State. What are some of the things that drew you guys to him and felt like he was a good fit for your system and what we're going to be doing going to the Big 12?
Yeah, obviously Emory's played a lot of ball at big time places at Florida and Arizona State, and he can run it, he can throw it, he can do all that stuff, and he's got a lot of experience, man. And you can't put a price tag on experience, especially going into the Big 12. So that was a big draw for us. But just on top of Emory, man, you also got Ben Bryant, a lot of experience. So you got two guys that have, played a lot of football. Then obviously you got talent behind them, you got Brady Lichtenberg, you got Evan Prater, you got Brady Drogosh, the young kid. So it's a very, very deep quarterback room that I personally can't wait to see, compete, over the next month or two in spring ball.
You guys had a pretty dynamic quarterback in Malik Cunningham at Louisville. Put up some pretty ridiculous numbers, especially his junior year. Wasn't as healthy this past season.
Yeah.
Now you're in kind of a situation where you've got a couple. I mean, we're going to throw the term around dual threat versus pocket passer. You kind of have both now. How does that work from we're not as familiar with this offense. Does that matter? Do you prefer one to the other? Is it pretty, nondescript one way? How do you guys view that with the room you guys have now?
It's kind of cliche, but Coach Sapp, myself, all of us, we prefer the one that's going to go out there and play the best and win ball games. Whether it's Malik Cunningham type that's going to throw for 3,000 and run for 1,000, or another guy that's going to throw for 3,500 yards and rush for 100 yards. And as coaches, in my opinion, if you only say, hey, this is my system, this is the one type of quarterback that I can coach, then I think you're doing it wrong. It's all about doing what your players can do well. And if it's a dual threat guy like Malik that can run around all over the yard and still throw it, obviously, but, run around and nobody can tackle him, then that's what you're going to do. If it's a guy that, that can not run as well, but if he gives you the best chance, then that's what you're going to do. Obviously, the offense will change a little bit. Instead of running, triple option, it might be more RPOs or throwing bubble screens or this or that, where the base offense will stay the same, but some of that auxiliary stuff will be a little bit different if you have a guy that can't run as good. And that's just what we have to find out this spring is, there's a lot of different types of quarterbacks in that room right now. They all do stuff very, very well, and we just need to find which one gives us the best opportunity.
And you guys kind of, real quick, you guys kind of showed that at Louisville when Malik went down. You still managed to get to 8 wins without your star guy and had a couple guys that did it a little bit differently. Yeah,
I mean, number one, it's hard to win college football games in general. Number two, it's hard to win college football games with your backup quarterback. And we went 3-1 with our backup quarterback, which was very impressive. Obviously, the defense being as good as they were, the O-line running the ball like they were helped. But you saw what the offense can look like a little bit with a guy not named Malik Cunningham at the Power 5 level, And we were still very successful. The offense did look a little bit different. But obviously, Coach Sapp is going to call plays based off what the quarterback can do and what he can do well. And we're going to game plan that way. So no matter who the quarterback is, runner, thrower, a guy that can do both, I'm very confident we'll be just fine on offense.
Take us inside the QB room and kind of the beginnings of spring practice. Like, what are the kind of the philosophies that you're working on right away? Obviously, there's going to be install and things like that. But, like, when you're meeting your group and really digging in for the first true time of coaching and implementing things, like what are kind of your tent poles that you're going to stick out there and go, these are the things we really need to do well?
I mean, because we've been seeing them throw in kind of our OTA type stuff, and they can all throw it. But what you don't see right now, which you'll get very quickly in spring ball, is decision making. If you are not, it doesn't matter how talented you are at quarterback. If you are not a good decision maker, you can't play. If you're out there turning the ball over left and right, you can't play. So decision making is the biggest thing that I look for, the biggest thing that Coach Sapp looks for. Decision making and can you move the offense? And those kind of go hand in hand, But that's what we are really, really looking forward to, seeing how they make decisions when they're under pressure, how well they move, how well they operate the offense, and just can you rally people behind you and do what it takes to move the football.
Jay, you got anything? I'm good. Okay.
You're rolling, but you're talking ball. I was kind of letting you talk some ball.
That's right. Let's talk a little bit of recruiting. You're known as a recruiter. Helped Louisville get a bunch of really good players in this class, and just recruiting quarterbacks. Obviously you want big, strong arm guys that can command a huddle and push the ball down the field. But when you first start out on your evaluation, what are kind of like the first things you need to see that then allows you to dig deeper into a player and try to, be like, this is a guy I truly do want to recruit to UC?
Yeah, I mean, just football wise, not talking about, the intangibles and leadership and all that stuff, because all that is very, very, very important. And it's hard to find, but that's part of recruiting is you got to dig into people and see if they have it inside of them. You can't just turn on a highlight film. But beside that stuff, which obviously is most important, accuracy, man. I think accuracy is the number one trait of playing quarterback. I don't care how far you can throw the football. Obviously, I do. You can't only be able to throw it 35 yards down the field. But you have to be accurate. Accuracy is the number one most important trait. Physical trait, I believe in playing quarterback. Can you make the throws on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6 when you need to? It's pretty easy to hit a wide open dude streaking down the field 55 yards down the field. But can you make the throws, in crunch time? That are going to keep the chains moving and get you in the end zone. So accuracy is number one. Release, I think, is very important. Having a good, tight release is number 2. And then number 3, obviously, I think that a guy that can just move around and can be athletic. It doesn't have to be a true dual threat guy, but you got to be able to move around a little bit and make some plays. I think those are, kind of the 3 things physically that you look for.
So for quarterback coaches, one of the biggest times of the year is that April window.
Yep.
Where you guys get to go on the road and you get to see a bunch of kids throw. Famously, I don't know if you've heard this story before or not, but many, many moons ago, Zach Taylor, who's now the Bengals head coach, went on the road his one and only year at Cincinnati. I think he had 8 different stops. One of those stops was in Louisville, Kentucky. It was the lowest rated guy on the list, a guy named Desmond Ritter at Louisville St. X High School.
Yep.
He came back to Cincinnati, and the word was getting around that this was the guy. And of course, how everybody is. That's the lowest rated guy. What are we doing? You're coming in and you're recruiting the lowest rated guy. And he made that work. But talk about that process of like, all right, I'm getting ready to go out on the road. I've got these 6 or 7 guys or whatever it is I'm going to go see in these 2 weeks. What are you zeroing in on? How much are you paying attention to the tangibles like you just talked about? Or like Des famously had like 6 of his guys from St. X show up like on a minute's notice at the field to run routes for him. Like how much of that stuff do you pay attention to? What's the organizational book look like for Pete Thomas when he hits the road in April to make those trips?
Yeah, kind of similar to that is you got your list of 6 to 8 to 10, whatever, 12 guys, however many it is, that you need to go see throw in person. It's very important for quarterback coaches, offensive coordinators, head coaches, which they can't go out in the spring, but to see the ball come off the quarterback's hand. I think that is a game changer. But you can't also just fall in love with them throwing routes on air. What you see in person has to match up with their film, which has to match up with you recruiting, you talking to them. So those 3 things, obviously, you're recruiting them right now. You're deciding whether they have intangibles. If you think they'd be a fit, you've seen their game film. You've seen their good plays. You've seen their bad plays. You've seen their highlight film. You've seen it all. And then on top of that, if you like those 2 things, that's when you go see them throw in person to make sure the feeling you're getting talking to them on the phone, what you see on film matches up with what you see in person. And if all of those 3 things line up, then you feel pretty good about making your decision. Now, obviously, it's not an exact science.
Right.
People in the NFL that's all they worry about is trying to find a quarterback. And it's not an exact science. And you hit on some and you miss on some. It is what it is. But you try to streamline that process so the program, the organization can make the best decision on what quarterback to sign, because obviously the quarterback position is very, very, very important.
Tonk, $5. Thank you. Appreciate the donation. I want the one more thing on recruiting. I'll let it get back to you, Dave.
I have more on recruiting too.
Coaches are generally very territorial, especially quarterback coaches, very territorial about their quarterbacks. you get to Cincinnati, you've got a 4-star quarterback committed, ready to sign. What was that first look at tape, or had you already watched and familiar with Brady Drogosh? What was that thought process of, wait a minute, like, need to keep this one in the boat. Can't let this one get out in the water.
Yeah, obviously I had watched him previously. I had not watched his senior stuff because we had a quarterback commit at Louisville. He was committed here, so I had not watched the senior stuff. I knew he was good, followed him at the Elite 11, all that stuff. But, our quarterback at Louisville committed pretty early. Watched the senior stuff immediately and we need to do anything and everything to keep this guy. So as soon as I legally could, talked to him on the phone, went up and, had a probably 3-hour home visit with him and his family. That went great. Talked to him, talked to his parents every day. They came on the official visit, kind of kept that relationship going. And obviously went really, really, really well. And he's here right now. We are very, very, very lucky to have him because what we've seen so far is very, very impressive for he's actually only 17, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So he's got a lot of ability. He's got a lot of stuff that you can't coach, which is fun to work with,
I'm not a player comparison guy, but a little bit of Josh Allen, like size-wise, ability to move. Not a lot of guys that are as big as him can move like he does.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree. I mean, he's big. He's tall. He can run. He can throw it. Very, very excited to coach him and work with him and, see him develop over the next, 3, 4, 5 years.
You're obviously going to go wherever the players are and, wherever the talent takes you. But where are some of the areas that you've kind of developed your better relationships with from a recruiting standpoint that you kind of call your own when you go out on the road?
Yeah, obviously out in California, being from California, and we had a couple kids committed from out there. Who knows how much we'll get out there here at Cincinnati, recruited Birmingham for the last couple of years. Actually was up here in Cincinnati a little bit when we were at Louisville and the Dayton area. So I think those, those kind of 2, 3, 4 areas are kind of where I've hit the most.
Then Dave,
what's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, with the transfer portal, quarterback position obviously is as important as any other. How do you go about recruiting? Is there a different philosophy recruiting high school kid versus transfer portal quarterback? And how has that evolved in the time that the portal's turned into what it's become?
Yeah, I think there's different types of portal kids, if that makes sense. If you're recruiting an older kid that's played, what they want to know is, what can you do for me? How do I fit the offense? What can you do for me on the field so I can produce the best? Whereas a high school kid, a kid that's been in college 1 year, it might be more of the normal recruiting stuff that you think in terms of, facilities, degree, town, city. Obviously, the football part is big, but those older kids that have been in college 3, 4 years, which I was the same way when I was the grad transfer, I'm trying to find the best fit solely based off football. So it is definitely different types of recruiting, high school kid, a younger portal kid, and an older, portal kid.
Go ahead, Dave.
With spring practice starting Monday, obviously there's a lot of new faces offensively, not as many defensively, but just from what you've gotten to know the guys so far, and like you said, the little bit that you've been able to see with throwing sessions and things like that, like just kind of your quick assessment of what you guys have to work with and kind of the areas that you'd like to see, really, really take a jump in the spring.
I mean, first of all, the guys, they love working out, they love throwing, they love football, which you can win a lot of games, with guys like that. They genuinely love being out there, being with each other, and working. Obviously, it's been a big learning curve, completely new offense, kind of the way we do stuff is a little bit different. offensively. But the guys are working hard. They're picking it up. And I know with them, they're ready to put helmet and pads on and play some real football, and not just, running, lifting, and throwing a little bit. I mean, to be honest, we don't really know how we're going to be day 1, day 2, day 3 spring ball. We've never seen these guys in pads with a helmet on, blocking and tackling in our offense, throwing and catching. So we're going to find out. The good thing is we don't play Oklahoma in a week. We got another, whatever it is, 7 months before we kick off the season. So we are really, really looking forward to, spring ball and getting out there with these guys and working with them and coaching them and see how they react to, different situations.
So, Pete, I'm told you and Coach Sat love to hit the links.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I'm addicted to it. That's my hobby.
Did you know Dave here used to work for the PGA Tour?
Really?
I did.
What'd you do?
Operations. So I'd go into town 6 months to a year before the tournament and do all the setup for it.
How'd you like Torrey Pines?
I've not been out there. I've been
Really?
A lot of stuff I've done has been like East Coast, Midwest. So like Whistling Straits,
yeah,
Oak Hill, where the PGA Championship is this year in Rochester, New York. Lived in Bermuda for a little bit.
Have you been down to Harbor Town at all in Hilton Head?
Yep, I've seen that and Pinehurst, and
yeah, that's awesome.
I
love golf.
Well, hopefully, So we had Doug Martin, the golf coach, on last week.
Okay.
And they won their first tournament of the year.
I saw that
this week. So we're taking full credit for the Bearcat Journal podcast bump.
There you go.
So you're on now. So the offense is going to have a flawless spring practice and
there we go. No
probably
mistakes at all.
Score 50 points in the spring game.
I love it. Maybe being on here will help my handicap a little bit too. That'd be great.
What's your number?
What's that?
What's your number?
I ended the season. I ended last summer. I think it was maybe a 5.3.
Whoa, buddy! You'd have to give me some strokes. I like that.
I'm used to giving Coach Sat a lot of strokes. So
we're organizing. We're putting a scramble together, and we're going to try to get the proceeds to go to Cincy Reigns.
Okay.
As we're working on that, we might have to sneak you into a foursome or something.
If there's a golf scramble and Coach Sat will allow me to play in it, I will be there.
Love it.
Love
it. Dave knows all the courses around town, so we're gonna have to get you guys together. We're gonna have to get you guys together.
Well, you're a little busy now.
Right now, yeah. The next couple months will be busy, but we might be able to sneak out once or twice, and then July, a little vacation time, will be.
Hey, we need to get. This is what we need to do, Chad. We need to get me, Pete, Coach Sat, and Wes foursome.
Oh,
Wes is a big golfer too.
The basketball.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've heard he is. So we got to make that happen.
That'd be some good content.
Yep.
So here's a great Wes story for you, Pete. This tells you how much Wes likes to compete. When he first gets the job, so he played at North Carolina.
Yep.
With Hansborough and those guys.
Yep.
So they have a retreat every year where that national championship team all gets together for like a weekend. And Wes has just gotten the job, and it's recruiting season in the spring, and he's swamped. So he can't go to the retreat full time. So he manages to figure out one day, and he goes to the retreat to play Hansborough in golf, beat him, and then got back on a plane and left.
That's all. I respect that big time. I'll tell you what, something about golf, man, it brings out the best. And the great thing about golf, it doesn't matter if you're good, bad. If the strokes are right, you can get in a dogfight with anyone, and it's awesome.
Yeah, we will. Right. I'll get with Zach. We'll get you and Dave in touch.
Absolutely.
And Dave will help you out with the lay of the land around here, golf.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Need it. Gotta have
it. All right, man. Thank you so much for your first appearance. First of many appearances.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate it, guys. It was awesome. Anytime I'll be here.
We like to be a little different. We had to set the stage today, but unlike a lot of podcasts that are fluff, we like to talk some ball.
Yeah,
no, like to get into the weeds. The weeds.
I don't like the fluff. I don't like the cliches and all that stuff. This was a good time.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, man. We'll talk soon. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. There you go. Pete Thomas, Cincinnati quarterback coach. That's your kind of guy.
We just got the golfer. The golf is ever present now. I mean,
Yeah, that is your kind of guy.
you just, hey, you get them, and we got Coach Sat, we got Pete, we got Wes, Coach Martin. I mean,
everything's coming up Dave lately on this here
it
podcast.
really is. It really is.
What do you want to get to since we just got done with Pete? Want to get to the spring ball preview?
Yeah, let's talk a little ball.
Talk a little ball. Offense. Let's start. Let's just in the deep end, Dave.
They're gonna need to put the names on the helmets. It's offense is definitely going to be who's number what? Who's that?
I'm usually pretty good at the number memorization portion of this job. I'm worried about offense for a couple weeks.
Well, you got so many new guys, and then who knows who's going to change their number. And we know in spring ball, half the time they're wearing different jerseys each day.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a minute for you to figure out outside of Emory Jones. Ben probably won't even be participating. I'm sure he's still rehabbing.
I mean, he's from what I've heard, he's throwing, but that's about it.
Yeah. So you probably have you'll know who the quarterbacks are. You know who the running backs are. One of the wide receivers, two of the wide receivers, and then Cam Jones, Gavin Gerhardt. So
yep.
There's going to be a lot of new numbers and faces to memorize.
It's going to be a lot.
Yeah, and putting in a new system, all new players. It could be a banner month for the defense.
The defense should be licking their chops at this opportunity.
Yeah,
very much, especially trying to figure out the offensive line against a defensive line that really has everybody but Jabari back.
Yeah, because I mean that's what spring practice is for. You try different offensive line combinations, even if you have a fairly veteran offensive line, you're still tinkering with, especially with the portal now, new players, and now you're going to be installing a new offense with at least one new quarterback, and then several new offensive linemen that weren't even on the team last year. It's not even that you're returning players at different positions. You're doing that while also working in totally new players to the team. Yeah, it could be when they decide to go at it that first time, it could be a rough go for the offense.
Yeah, let's get into the weeds on offense. Start a quarterback. I said this Monday night, and it's the same thing we said last year. Ben Bryant didn't transfer back to Cincinnati to watch Evan Prater play quarterback. Emory Jones does not transfer to Cincinnati with the intention of watching Ben Bryant play quarterback. Does that mean he's going to win the job? No, of course not.
No,
but
go out and win it.
He starts to go out and win it. But that man is coming in here with the confidence of this new staff recruited me here to be their quarterback, right?
For sure.
What are your expectations in terms of watching Emory Jones grasp this offense and kind of assimilate himself into the program?
It's hard to have
expectations.
Much of an expectation for a spring practice, especially with, so much of it is a comfortability, and they're not going to be comfortable in the offense in spring.
Right.
So much of it is cohesion of an offensive line. They're not going to have a cohesive offensive line in the spring. I mean, could they? Sure. But I mean, us sitting here talking about it on March 1st, I mean, if they did, I'd be asking Coach Satterfield, like, what the hell, man? How did you get this figured out so quickly? So I don't even know if I can really have expectations. I mean, he's been a competent quarterback at 2 other stops. I mean, he's got good movement skills. He's got a I wouldn't call it a huge arm, but a requisite arm, a plus arm. And again, you're dealing with all new wide receivers too. So many things are just against the offense being successful that I'm not even sure that I'm looking at it from a expectation standpoint. I'm more interested in the offense from an actual X's and O's standpoint and learning what it is that this offense is going to be, who takes to it the quickest, whether it's from an offensive line standpoint or a running back standpoint, because the schemes are vastly different. Some running backs run great in a zone scheme. Some running backs run great in a power scheme, but don't run great in a zone scheme. So it's going to be seen who it fits and who excels the quickest if someone does. And that's the thing I'm kind of looking for. And yes, we'll be looking for, like, how much better are they on day whatever versus day 3. Yes, you want to see incremental improvement, but I'm just not sure what to really expect with so many different things. I guess going against them is, I don't know if that's the proper term, but you're going against a defense that, yes, is going to be a new scheme, but a lot of returning players.
So guys that know how to play with, like, communicate and play with each other, even if it's a new system.
Right. And in this system, not that it will be easier or harder, but, like, this system is much more attacking than the previous system.
Sure.
And in the spring, that's even easier for them to do. It's like, just go get the ball. Just go forward. Be aggressive. Go forward. Don't worry about necessarily all the calls immediately. Like, just be aggressive and train yourself that we're going to be a going forward attacking style. And that's going to hurt the offense too, because the offensive line especially is going to be thinking. Yeah. The quarterbacks are going to be thinking. The running backs are going to be thinking, while the defense is just like, just go play with your hair on fire, and we're going to blitz, 5-6 guys every play. So good luck with that.
Are you going to be more inclined to watch 7-on-7?
Yeah, because they might actually have time to throw the ball in 7-on-7.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. You don't get to see the run scheme in 7-on-7, but if you're curious about the passing game, it might be 7-on-7 for a couple weeks.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Running back is really intriguing. Are you a little bit interested in the spring game graphic announcing the time of the spring game featuring Miles Montgomery?
I didn't even notice that until you said that. But I mean, like, if you asked me about a running back for this offense, he would be the guy that jumps out. I mean, he's a one cut, like, stretch it out, cut it off the guard's ass type of running back.
There's Pickle.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, he's the guy that I would be, kind of most, him and I would, who knows what position he's playing now, but, like, him and Ethan Wright.
Ethan's made it pretty clear he wants to be a running back.
They're the two guys that I kind of envision as the I don't want to say leaders, but, like, kind of like the models of their running style fits this type of.
I think it fits Corey pretty well also.
A little. He's just more straight ahead than, like, I'm not sure how much he's going to truly, like, mean, because I haven't seen it, so I can't like the stretch play and then getting outside the hashes and to the numbers and then moving up off of that. It will be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. And I mean, you're still going to have Ryan Montgomery there, who has proven to be really solid in his time here. Maybe more inside zone, but we'll find out. Sometimes guys will surprise you with their ability to play in a system that maybe you didn't expect them to excel in. So, and I would say Monty has kind of surprised you each step of the way in terms of maybe not expecting him to continue to.
Where did she come from?
So it's thunderstorming out. I stole your cup.
I know,
It's
but like,
great. I love it.
It looks like your room has a corner and she came out of the corner.
Let me explain. When it thunderstorms, our big 70-pound pit bull mix turns into a puddle of mush and just lays in this corner shivering until the thunderstorm passes. So the reason I had my camera off because Kelsey walked in and walked behind me and was laying on the floor with him to comfort him.
Okay, that's why I was like, how did you just come from the left when there's a wall there? Like, what is going on?
You just appeared out of nowhere at the back of the screen. People were wondering where you came from.
Ground.
The ground. You were on the ground with the big scary dog that is shivering like a leaf because there's rain outside.
He has my shirt on too.
Yeah, he does have your shirt on for comfort. It's not working. It's not working even a little bit.
I mean, yeah, there's offensively.
Tight end. Let's say tight end. Shaman. I'm very interested to see. It's just water.
Marshawn
I'm very
Ford,
interested to see. Yeah. Go ahead.
Who do you think's going to play fullback?
H-back, right? It's not necessarily fullback.
No, but it's a number in the 40s at Louisville. It was at least like who on the UC roster fits that position?
Caleb Schmitz, maybe.
Maybe I don't.
He was a linebacker in high school, wasn't he? Like there was a question whether he was going to play linebacker or tight end. I think a linebacker could transition pretty well into that spot.
Yeah.
You asked. I'm just
Royer. Can Royer come back?
He's got a year. He does have a year.
Does he have hands? Can he catch?
I wouldn't trust him with that. I don't know that GE is going to let him go either.
Oh, really? They can't work out like an NIL deal for him?
Probably not. I mean, he wouldn't have to take many classes, right? Like I think he already got a master's or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who do you think?
I have no idea. Will be interesting.
It will be very.
Well, I guess maybe the
Western Kentucky transfer. Yeah.
Joey Belgian. Yeah. I'm thinking maybe that's a role, role he can be.
Wide receiver.
Literally it's going to be like, hi, I'm, welcome to UC.
And probably still more to come. Like, I don't think we're done meeting new wide receivers.
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, they still don't have
a full room.
No.
What do they have? 7?
Well, you have
the 2 that stayed.
Chris Scott and Marcus Peterson.
Yeah. Ty Perkins.
It's 3. Then you have the
transfers.
4. Is it 4 transfers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 7.
That's 7. Yeah. So you still
And you
need
need typically what? 12?
quite a few more.
Barry Jackson. We forgot Barry
Oh yeah.
Jackson.
Mhm. But is he there for spring though?
I don't know if he's an early enrollee or not.
I think Ty is, but I can't
Yeah.
say about him.
I think he was, but I'm not 100% positive of that. We probably should have asked that. So yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 guys in the wide receiver room. It's a little low. It's a little low.
Yeah. No, I don't think we're going to see a lot of 4 and 5 wide spring practice.
I mean, you might. They're just going to have to hurry up and get back to
They're
the
going to
line
be
of
in great.
scrimmage
They're going to be in great shape
to go. Oh man, like one-on-ones. Ooh,
20
lot of
minutes,
reps.
21 one session or segment of 7-on-7. Those dudes are going to be tired.
Very, very tired. Offensive line, we kind of touched on. It'll be interesting at center. I mean, you think I would guess it's going to be
Trevor.
Yeah, Radosevic or what?
Yes.
Radosevic, yeah.
Trevor.
You would think it's going to be him. Gavin would make really, a lot of sense at one guard.
Luke Kandra.
Obviously,
if
Luke
I'm
Kandra.
I'm guessing those 3 in the middle. Jones and Williams, at least the first go of it.
Initially,
Right.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
Phillip.
Who else do they have to play tackle?
It's going to depend. Philip Wilder, I'm sure, will get a look, but he's a little it's 280 is what he was listed at, or is what he's listed at on 24/7.
I mean, I guess
6'5".
D'Artagnan, I think will be in the mix at guard.
At guard, yeah, I would agree there. I don't know, man. Ethan Green as a redshirt freshman.
He's probably gonna be in the 2 deep. I mean, who else? They don't really have any. I mean, this season and this unit as of now is kind of biting them in the lack of tackle recruitment and development in the Fickle area.
Yeah. Eventually that catches up to you.
Yeah, whether it's by injuries in a season or by attrition and graduation, and guys just don't make it because that's just how it works. And now you're literally down to 2-3 guys that have really hardly played.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's going to be a challenge to figure out exactly what the path forward is on the offensive line. And that's another room like wide receiver. Like, you have to fully expect there's going to be at least another 1 or 2 guys.
The problem there is at wide receiver, if guys get hurt, you can just not use wide receivers.
Yeah, you can go multiple tight ends.
You can't just not have tackles.
No, I think that would be a problem.
So while the receiver room is shallow right now, they can add more, and you can always not use as many receivers. It's not like you can just not use as many linemen in your offense.
Yeah, we're only going to go with
we're just going to use 4.
Yeah. Just we're 3 offensive linemen. This week we're going to go 3 offensive linemen.
We don't have enough receivers to then put people out wide if we did that.
Exactly. That part, I mean, It's frustrating because it's not like they didn't recruit tackles. They just didn't recruit tackles that worked unless they were short fix, quick fix type guys.
Yeah.
The long fixes never really became a factor.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you're still waiting for John Williams and Cam Jones. Maybe you catch, you catch a stroke of good luck and those guys are what you were looking for.
What you're looking for and play every snap the whole year?
The whole season. Yeah, not miss a snap. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a challenge. So that's offense, which is basically to say, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. Defense. I mean, defensive line, you have to feel good about with Malik back. You've got Briggs back. So those two guys, kind of take you into a different level than you could have achieved if they had both moved on or if even one of them had moved on.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think we see Briggs back outside so you get Malik, Briggs, and Corleone all together? I don't. The problem is I don't think any of them are the upfield, like get after the quarterback type.
No, they're not. But
if they're really running like a 3-4, in the 3-4, it's the linebackers that are used to pass.
Yes,
rush.
in like the truest sense of the 3-4. Yes, you're right. Like the old Pittsburgh Steelers style of 3-4.
The New England 3-4
had 280, 290 pound tackles, and then you had like your Vince Wilfork and Casey Hampton at nose. But I don't know, at least going off of last year, like Louisville didn't run it quite that way. Like they did have more of a edge presence from the D line. I mean, they had a lot of guys get a lot of sacks, and I can't claim to be an expert on what that looked like, and hopefully we can get Coach Brown on sometime and kind of dig deeper into that, and I'm sure we'll get an idea, or you'll get an idea at the practices you're able to attend and in conversation. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna be looking at the main rush component coming from, your back seven, but you still do need to have some rush presence from your front, regardless of what the alignment is.
And Malik has shown to be a guy that can get in the backfield. Briggs, I thought 2 years ago, after Malik was out for a while, I thought you started to see Briggs get a little bit more accustomed to playing outside and getting up the field a little bit more. He's out. Neither of them are obviously a Maje, like long, bendy, twitchy freak type guy. They're obviously both more power guys, and you pair that with Corleone. Say what you will, that is a shit ton of muscle.
Oh, it is. It's just, it's hard to, from a pressure standpoint, it's hard to win consistently with power.
Yeah.
Like, because of just the way offenses are, and you can't get back there quick enough. Like, there's not a game wrecker type, third down. This guy is going to beat his man if he's singled up, or they're going to double team him because they're so afraid of him that they just, right now at least, they don't have that from the front. And so that would be my biggest concern, is how are you going to have to compensate for that? Where are you going to have to bring additional pressure? And then where does that leave you exposed? Because, now they might never even do that, because they sure didn't seem to do it very much at Louisville, like just rush 3 and drop 8.
Right.
So maybe it doesn't matter because they're always going to be bringing, an extra guy somewhere.
Right.
So, but that's my biggest thing that I would be watching defensive line wise is how are they doing that with what are they doing with the down three?
Do you think Daniel Graziak fits into a down three, or do you think he's going to be an outside linebacker?
I think he's more of an outside. I mean, he's going to be like an edge guy, but I don't see him like he's not a first and
Right.
second down edge guy.
Right. Then you have, Justin Watley. You have a new staff working with Rob Jackson. You have, do we see like a Tyler Gillison,
I need
Jamal
to see something from
Williams?
Jamal Williams. He's the closest they got to that, to the Maje mold.
Yeah, but they wanted him to be Maje for 2 years, and he wasn't able to get there.
No, I know, but guys develop at different rates, and maybe playing in this style, maybe that benefits him more.
Possibly. It'll be interesting to see, does Dominique Perry, is he able to stay healthy after a really rough year of some stuff that was beyond his control physically? Do we see, Derek Shepard start to push up the roster? There's just a lot of big body capable dudes in that defensive line room.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is I don't want to, because I don't know, but defensively, part of me thinks they fell into kind of a trap of success in that the 2021 team and what they did defensively, I feel like kind of hurt the 2022 team. Because I just think they lined up and were like, we're just going to beat you with our stuff.
We're just going to be more talented than you. We're just going to be better than you.
And they didn't quite have that same level of talent. And so not being as dynamic as maybe they needed to be allowed teams to kind of be like, well, yeah, but yes, you guys are still good. But if you're just going to show us exactly what you're going to do most of the time, then it's not going to be as effective as it was before. And this defense is certainly not that. So we'll see if that maybe helps some of these guys showcase their, because I mean, really, they didn't do anything special with the defensive line last year. No,
they just lined up and said we're going to be who we are.
Right. When Curtis Brooks left, we were a different defensive line unit in the way that they.
I also think there was some nature of, as the season wore on, just block the center and let Ivan go to work.
Sure.
Because that was very effective.
It was. But in the highest leverage situations,
yeah,
especially the Tulane game, their lack of creativity, I think, kind of allowed Tajay Spears to get in quite a groove.
Well, and Keaton Mitchell too, even
in the second half, yeah.
Yeah, they struggled with those guys.
They moved. Tulane moved their offensive line all game, and we had no answer for it.
No. Linebacker. What's your outlook at linebacker?
I think this defense fits Jaheim Thomas to a T.
It should, yes.
I would hope that he has a big jump in production this year.
He should be a guy that this system is designed for.
And who do you think takes over Deshaun Pace's starting spot at linebacker?
Because you think Deshaun Pace is going to be a nickel or a safety?
He's going to be something in the back end. I'm not sure what.
Yeah. I guess that's hard for me to answer because they're not asking somebody to replace Deshaun Pace because I don't think they have the sniper right? Like
Right.
they're more of, they want their linebackers to be more downhill than space.
Yes.
I mean, Greziak would be like the obvious. He's going to be an outside backer,
Yeah, for sure.
but he's not going to play anything like Deshaun Pace.
No, he's not covering anybody. He's coming here to get the quarterback.
Yeah. The name I'm really intrigued to see how this staff uses is Sincere Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he really, like, he made them feel Leroy Bowers was expendable. And going into spring, man, this staff wanted Leroy Bowers to be a star this time a year ago. And for whatever reason, that didn't necessarily work out. And I think a lot of it, as things played out as they did because they felt like, well, Sincere Lewis is a dude. So I'm interested in Sincere Lewis. The rest of that linebacking core is going to be interesting to see, like, how it develops, because I think they're just looking for different types of guys than Fickell's defense was.
I just want to chime in here real quick and let everybody know that Vanderbilt just beat Kentucky.
They did.
So that's fun.
I know you're a Tennessee fan, and there's a lot of hate for Kentucky. Is there? Here's a name. I'm going to throw a name out. One, Jack Dingle's going to have a role in the middle somewhere. You would have to assume. Jonathan Thomas just always impressed me when he was given an opportunity last year.
Yeah, very, very good. I remember very good spring game.
Thompson, sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Jaheim Thomas, Jonathan Thompson. I'm going to screw that up from here to eternity.
But yes, I mean, I think anybody that shows a aggressiveness and an ability to beat blocks and get in the backfield is going to see the field.
Here's another one that's interesting. Devin Hightower.
Yeah, we don't.
Was
really
a pretty highly rated recruit at Michigan State.
Know much about his ability. So
no, he tore his bicep. Look, you can't question his toughness. He had a muscle rip off of his bone and played an entire scrimmage. And then at the end of the scrimmage was like, my hand feels a little tingly. Okay. We're going to take a look at that. Oh yeah. Your bicep's no longer attached.
Yeah. See that thing that just rolled up your arm?
That's why your fingers are tingly, son. Yeah. I mean, David Jones, another one. Keep an eye on. He's shown some potential. Like, there's names at least at linebacker that you feel pretty good about.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a similar situation to, I think I'd say, like DB last year.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know what Jaquan Shepard was going to be. We didn't know what Sammy was going to do. So yeah, I mean, there's guys that have kind of waited their turn, and that's the thing defensively with this. We just don't know what a total scheme change, like who loves it, who hates it, who it does, who it fits great, who it fits poorly. Like, we're just not going to be able to know that until we truly see it.
Yeah. Defensive back is going to be very interesting. And you've got a bunch of guys that have been trying to fight their way up the roster. Sammy Anderson, Justin Harris, Taj Ward has been effective. Todd Bumpus has been on the cusp quite a bit. And then safety, you're looking at, you would think from what we've seen, Brian Threats and Amorion Smith are going to be right there, but Jacob Dingle has been a factor. Isaiah Cox is a guy that they loved his versatility, and they loved his ability when he was coming in. Hasn't made that jump yet.
And then you've
But
got
he's another name that
DJ Taylor and Jordan Young transferring in.
yeah.
Raekwon
I think they've got enough
Raekwon
bodies to be
Atkins
solid
is,
in the secondary.
early enroll. Oh yeah, how many? So when Deshaun Pace plays nickel/safety and him, Threats, and Amorion are on the field at the same time, what's the over/under on targeting ejections this year?
Oof. Let's over under at 3.5.
Oh, way over.
Way over. What are you taking? 6? You got
No.
6?
Well, let's see. Threats was thrown out of 2 games last year. Amorion was he ejected from 1, or did he just rough the
1.
punter like 6 times, but not actually get thrown out?
He didn't have a kill switch on punt block.
Yeah,
Like he didn't have the stop button. He just
like I'm not like at some point in the run up, you have to realize like I'm not gonna get there before he kicks the ball. So maybe I should
realized that and still said
still just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna deck this guy." Maybe they won't see me.
It's going to be a physical bunch. That much is for certain. It's going to be a physical bunch.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm interested. I think where Deshaun lines up and how he is used is probably defensively. That and who kind of takes advantage of the new attacking scheme the most. Those are kind of the 2 things I'm most interested to see, like who starts stacking, violent practices on top of each other.
Yeah. I think you're going to be okay at punter. I think you're going to be okay at kicker.
Long snapper.
Holder,
Yeah, we got like 9 kickers.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got 1.
Right. Carter Brown.
Yeah,
Rory Bell transferred in from Temple as well.
That might be your kickoff guy.
Right.
Yeah. So there's your position by position, spot by spot, spring football preview as we head into practice on Monday. I will be there for the first practice Monday. Some combination. Aaron is planning on being down. I've got radio. Apparently, Mo is taking Tuesday through Friday off next week. So I'm in the radio booth. We're in a weird spot, Dave, because when I agreed to these radio dates, I was thinking spring practices in the morning,
right?
Which it had been for 6 years. I forgot to add into the equation that they don't have the bubble. The bubble is dead. The bubble has gone down for the last time. So they're going to be looking for warmer weather, or at least like the best possible weather of the day. That comes in that 3 to 6 window in the afternoon. So spring practices are going to be in the afternoon, which means when I have radio, I won't be able to be there, unfortunately. But I'll be there Monday, and then I'll be there for most of the rest of March and pretty much all of September. But hopefully you and Aaron are going to be able to either combine or delegate responsibilities Wednesday and Thursday.
Right.
I appreciate that, Top G.
I'll be at both. I'm planning on both.
Yeah, Dave was figuring out if he could sneak his way out of work early one of the 2 days. He just didn't know that for sure. So,
all
right. Having more bodies there is always better than having none. It's my philosophy.
Yes.
So we will have full coverage of the spring. Like, don't worry your little head on that one. I don't know. You got anything else on football you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I mean, not current football. I mean, we have combine starting tomorrow.
You want to get to that? Like, I mean,
Sure.
we can stay on the football. I don't want to go to basketball and then like come
Right.
back.
No,
to
yeah,
the
that's fine. Yeah.
Give us your combine preview as we get ready for activities start tomorrow, right?
Yes, Ivan Pace will be doing. I could have used the very like Ivan Pace will be put through the paces, but yeah. So Ivan goes tomorrow. Arquan goes Friday, and then tight ends, wide receivers are Saturday.
Yeah.
So, somebody each day outside of the last day. So,
how are you sizing up the Bearcats as they head in?
there's growing buzz around Tyler Scott.
Very much so.
Seems to be following the Alec Pierce plan, basically.
Yeah.
So, I've seen several draft experts talking about, pretty much, I won't say lock, but like, if you're asking me right now, I'd say he will be the highest drafted Bearcat, and he will go in the second round.
I think that's, especially if he puts up a silly number in the 40.
And I fully expect him to do.
Well, yeah, let's be honest. Him and Trey are track guys playing football.
Yes.
Like, that's what they are fast on fast. They just happen to also be good at football. But those are track guys.
Yeah. And I think Tyler will run faster than Trey.
I do too.
I think the 40 sets up. Trey has better long speed. He sustained. Yeah, I think Tyler gets to his top speed quicker.
I don't disagree with that.
So I'm going to say that Tyler runs a 4.29 and Trey runs a 4.31.
You're not with Chris Johnson? Did you hear what Chris Johnson had to say?
Chris Johnson, like the running back from the Titans?
That has the record 4.24.
Well, he used to have the record. John Ross ran faster than him.
He said Tyler Scott was going to run faster than 4.24.
Oh, he did? Is he?
Yeah.
Is he training him?
No, he was like, this is a dude I've been watching since.
Oh, okay.
He's been on my radar. It's like fast on fast.
If he runs 4.23, like that.
Round one is in play.
I still wouldn't.
Somebody might do something stupid if he runs 4.23.
Yeah, Al Davis isn't alive anymore. I mean, he did take Darius Hayward Bay with like the 7th pick out of Maryland that one year. So
the Bengals took John Ross.
They did. I don't think Marvin was very happy about that.
Poor James.
Ivan is Ivan, man. I think he's gonna do the drills well. I think he's gonna run fast. But it just comes.
What do you think his time? 4.5, 4.4?
He could crack in the 4.4s. I mean, he's gonna be a smaller guy. I think he could do it. I would not bet on it. I'm betting. I'm saying
4.5.
like low 4.5s.
Yeah.
But I still like. I'm gonna like his eval is not a hard eval for me. Like he's a 5th, 6th round guy unless someone has a very, very specific role for him and feels that the value of that role is higher than that. Because he's not going to, I mean, not saying he can't, but like, once you get into those middle rounds, like you need special teams value.
Yes.
I
I wouldn't count him out being effective.
wouldn't count him
special
out,
teams.
but I don't. That's not That's not his thing, really. And he's like, just kind of comes down to like, okay, we love him. He's crazy around the ball. But like, how many plays a game is he truly affecting on the NFL level? Like, how are we going to use him? And how does that marry up to round value?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to see that in like third, fourth round range.
I agree. Unfortunately, just size is going to kill him.
Yeah, I mean,
it is what it is. He knows it. Like, he talks about it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and you can say that it doesn't matter, but you're talking about the best of the best. You're not talking about, offensive linemen from Tulsa and South Florida. You're talking about 30-year-old, 6'5", 320-pound
Right.
guards, and you're 5'10", 230.
It's hard. It's just hard to consistently beat that.
It's physics, man. Like,
right. Not simple.
No. So, obviously interested to see what Josh weighs in at and then what he runs, because he obviously at the Senior Bowl he was 260. Want to see what that does weight wise. The tight end group is incredibly deep.
Yeah.
So how does he look in the drills? Does he catch? Is he a smooth catcher? At what if this is a new way, does that hinder him in his routes? Things of that nature. So I did find it interesting that there are six Bearcats.
Yeah.
The rest of the AAC has 10 combine invitees.
Probably should have had a better year last year.
Maybe.
I said probably.
Maybe.
I'd say definitively, probably. Lenny is going to have a chance to show he's a two-way tight end, right? Like I've got the physicality and the strength to play inside, and the hands and the route running ability to not be a zero in the passing game.
He's got, run well.
I don't love on-air stuff, but I think Lenny could make a lot of money for himself on air. Meaning quarterbacks throwing and Lenny making some nice, like some catches you don't expect to see. John White, have you not been listening to this podcast? Are you late? Are you delayed? I guess we'll know in a minute. Dave just did 5 minutes on where he thinks Ivan landed. I have to remember that sometimes people are like, 10 minutes behind the live feed. So they're asking questions that we've already answered, but we don't know that.
Yes.
We had a guy last week that was literally 45 minutes behind the live feed the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just hopped on. Sorry. Okay, that's another one. The guys that just hopped on. Dave thinks 5th round or so for Ivan.
5th, 6th, something like that.
Yeah. Lenny, I think on air can really impress people because we've seen that from him throughout the years where he makes some plays in one-on-ones or 7-on-7s, which is, not on air, obviously. But, I think he can make some money there, like making some plays that maybe the scouts don't expect in space. He doesn't look like a guy that's nimble. You know what I mean?
No, but I mean, it's, he's going to have to run fast though, because they're going to go like, yeah, that's great on air, but like in coverage, he wouldn't be open.
Right.
So, he's shown that ability, but you still need to see the agility, the agility drills, the explosion drills, and just he can't run like he's got to be in the he can't run some weird number that's just like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. That's just like so slow, it's not draftable.
Like a 4.8 or whatever.
If he gets in the 4.8s, I think he's okay.
You think he's going to run like a 5, like a lineman number?
No, but it's got to be low, like in the low 4.8s, 4.7.
Yeah. Did last week guy ever catch up? Not while we were live. He never caught up while we were live. We had moved on. I think it was the BBP. We had moved on from basketball. We were talking about something else, and he kept asking questions from like 18 minutes ago. But you can't tell him to catch up because he's watching video from 18 minutes ago. Arquan's super interesting to me. Like, he can't be a nickel in the NFL, can he?
You wouldn't think so.
Not with the way that slot guys are trending in the NFL. Like, they're just freaks.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Jamar Chase is playing a lot of snaps in the slot.
Right. Like, they're just physical specimens.
I mean, you're getting away from just your stagnant of like X and Y and Z receivers and just lining your best guys up on the outside because they're doing too much to double team them anymore and take them out of game plans. So we're moving guys around. We're getting motion and off coverage and yeah, I'm not sure. I just don't know how he slots in.
A field? I mean, his best chance is to be a field corner, right?
Yes.
I don't think he's a boundary because those guys are just, again.
I mean, because here's the thing: if you're going to be a field, then like Kobe was
playing a lot of zone.
Kobe was an excellent cover corner, much better true cover corner than Arquan. Ran in the low 4.5s and winning. I mean, he was the Thorpe Award winner. Well, you can argue that that's a silly, whatever. But like had a very, very good career. Ran in the low 4.5s and is a fourth rounder and can really play just one position.
Right.
I don't think Arquan's going to run faster than that.
The hard part is like you do kind of never know when they actually get to do the very specific like training.
Right. But no one would watch, I mean, at least over the last couple of years, no one would have watched him in the actual games and been like, oh yeah, he's faster than Kobe.
Sure. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, like, nobody expected Derek Forrest to run what he ran at his pro day.
Oh, no.
But some of these guys, when you get them into situations where they're just training for speed, then they come out and they run a number that you're like, damn.
But but Forrest speed is translated to the games too, though.
Yeah. I'm not, but you think Arquan was slow?
I mean, I'm not going to call him slow, but like, if you're asking me if I think he's going to run faster than Kobe, I'm going to say no.
I think we were surprised by Kobe's number 2. I think there was a lot of people that didn't think Kobe was that fast.
Oh, I was expecting him to be faster than what he ran.
Okay.
I mean, if you're a corner and you're not breaking 4.5, like that's pretty damn slow.
Yeah.
And you're not like one of these like, I mean, you got like Sauce and Tyreek Woolen and those dudes are like 6'3", 200 pounds, and they're 212, and they're running in the 4.3s.
Yeah.
And you're not even running in the 4.4s.
It's a little different. It's fair. It's fair. It's going to be an interesting week for Arquan. I'm interested to see like where his numbers come up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're in an hour and a half. You want to do a little bit of basketball, or you over it, or where you at?
No, we can.
Okay. One game left. They're at 19 wins, right? Or are they at 18?
I think 19. 19 and 11.
19 and 11. You're going to have a chance to get to 20, potentially 21 or more with the conference tournament. This has not been. I always joke with Aaron. Aaron's a big. He's a Levitard guy, and they do the overrated, underrated, properly rated.
Where did they steal that from SVP and Rosillo?
Or was that SVP? Yeah, that was SVP and Rosillo, wasn't it? My brain doesn't work right now. I would say right now,
people steal stuff all the time on shows. So
yeah, I would say right now, like unless you have like a lose to SMU, lose in the first round of the conference tournament, you know, your first game of the conference tournament, that could change the dynamic of this. I would say they're about. I think they're one game under where I thought they would be, and you could easily point to two games, NKU and ECU, and say win either one of those, and they're pretty much exactly where I thought they would be when the season began. They're going to, you know, 11. If they beat SMU, they're 11-7 in conference. I thought 12-6 was probably, you know, the right number. I'm going to be off by one there. There were a couple games they should have won. There were a couple games they probably could have lost. Where are you at? Overrated, underrated, properly rated, Dave?
I mean, based on that, I would probably go properly rated. But when you when you just give a record in October is one thing, but when it plays out a certain way, then it colors that, you know, that guess or what, you know, prediction a little bit differently. And it's been hard for me to kind of, you know, on one hand be like, yes, this is kind of what I thought, but on the other hand be like, yeah, but you have dropped games. Like if you drop some games, but then you have some games where you also can hang your hat on and go, yeah, but we didn't, you know, we didn't think that one was going to be a win going into the year, and we did that, so they kind of cancel things out. Like we don't really have that.
Well, here's where I would argue that, Dave. If you thought they were going to win 21, 22 games and have a similar record to what they do in conference, like if this is what you predicted they would do, how can you say it didn't play out like you thought it was going to play out?
Because I didn't think they'd lose to NKU and ECU.
Okay, but they clearly made up for that somewhere else if they're still at the number that you thought they were going to be at.
I mean, I don't know. I guess like if we're getting that minute of one win here or there is going to define whether we say it's properly rated, underrated,
that's what you're doing. But they had two games that they should have. They had no business losing, but they lost those two games, and they're still at right around the number that you thought they would be at. Then they had to have done something you didn't expect them to do.
No, they did. They've done nothing. Like they have no win that I'm like, oh, that was a surprise.
Okay, but you still predicted properly.
Maybe I'm bad at predicting.
I thought you were.
I mean, I feel totally unfulfilled for the second year in a row. Like I don't. Nothing about this year jumps out to me as like, oh yeah, that's going to go down in the annals. I'm going to remember that one.
No, I mean, I would agree with that. Like the numbers say they had two wins that against the like the upper part of the conference, They beat Tulane here. They beat Temple here, and they didn't really. The problem is they had too many opportunities on the road where they were up in the second half in a position to win the game and didn't get it done. Should have won at Houston. Could like Memphis, that was they made a late comeback, but they never really were in a position where they should have won that game. They Tulane was pissing down your leg.
I mean, and like I listened to, I don't know if I think it was BBP when you guys were talking about how like basically all the turnovers in the Memphis game came in this one stretch, and so it was
the last 8 minutes of the first half, the first 8 minutes of the second half.
I mean, it's kind of unfair to do the whole like they weren't ready to play thing, because at the beginning of the game it wasn't like they just walked into the arena and started handing the ball to Memphis right from the beginning of the game. But at the same time, like my frustration with that performance and the ECU performance and the end of the Tulane game stems from the fact like this is an incredibly old team. And we've talked about the whole, like, well, they haven't like conditioned themselves to win and all of those things, but like, you're still, whether you're conditioned to win or not, you're still making the type of mistakes that young teams make in game 30 of a season of a team that has all 4 and 5 year guys
that haven't won
but having not won doesn't
having all 4 and 5 year guys doesn't instantly, getting old and staying old doesn't instantly make you good. There's more to it than that.
Right, but it should make you not be as careless with the ball as they were for 6 whatever of the game. Like, it's one thing for the guy to come up and steal the ball for Landers and 2 times in a row, whatever. There was also a stretch at one point where it looked like they had never actually dribbled the basketball and were dribbling into Memphis players on purpose and then letting them take the ball from them. Micah did it
and then
once.
Also throwing ridiculous passes to nowhere.
That has nothing to do with conditioning, like being conditioned to win.
No, that's fair. I have no argument with that.
So like that's where like Sunday I was like, I don't need to watch this anymore. And I legitimately did not watch 1 second of the second half.
I said it after the game. That was as frustrated as I've been watching a game all season. That was the most frustrated I've been watching a game all season, because all of it was so avoidable. Like just like know that when Alex Lomax is on the floor, he's looking to sneak in from behind and take the ball away from you. Like, you kind of have to be aware of where the guy is, because that's one of the things that defines who he is as a player.
Right.
He wants to do that to you. If you're watching the scouting report and you're watching video, you have to know, you have to have seen that Alex Lomax likes to sneak up from behind on people with the ball at the elbow, or like, anywhere he can kind of like get in low and come from behind and take the ball.
Right. Like you cut off of the on-ball defender, and in your mind you think, well, that guy's passed, so the defender's just going to automatically trail him, and then he comes up and and picks your pocket. And like, I don't know, Memphis was averaging 19 turnovers over their last 3 games going. They had 24 turnovers.
That was actually my bigger issue in the first half.
And like,
Memphis had 0 turnovers for 18 minutes in the first half.
It was like, did we know that? Did we know that they had literally been like just giving the ball to the other team 3 games in a row?
That's effort. Like, that's not getting in passing lanes. That's not being like dialed into the defensive scout. That's just kind of going through the motions defensively. Like, maybe you could convince me that we were just so dialed in on stopping Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams.
Well, that didn't work either.
They did a great job on Kendrick Davis. He took 22 shots. Like,
Well, I
He-
mean,
he did not-
I'm talking just in the first half. I mean, DeAndre Williams had like 15 points 10 minutes into the game.
DeAndre Williams was phenomenal. They did absolutely nothing to stop him the entire day. They did a good job on Kendrick Davis. They did a terrible job on DeAndre Williams. Terrible. That's terrible, man. That's terrible.
But no, I mean, that's just like, that's where I kind of just come down on things. It's, you know, you already know the other team is better. I mean, I don't know, is Memphis in the tournament or are they on the bubble? I have no idea. But like, they've had a better season. They're playing at home. And so you have some things stacked against you right from the jump. And then
you have to be good at the little things.
And then you just come out and not from the jump. Again, it was like 11-10 or whatever, but then all of a sudden it was like,
it was 12-11, and then they just gave up 1,000 layups.
And we're just not gonna even, like, I mean, 3-4 possessions in a row with either just a ridiculously dumb pass, just a dribbling exhibition that 5-year-olds would think was bad. I don't know what that was there after, you know, like you said, after the first couple segments.
And the other annoying thing is they did figure it out in the final 8 minutes.
Yes, that
it
part
just took 15 minutes too long.
That part pisses me off even more. If you just
Right.
got blown out, okay, whatever, you get blown out. But I'm tired of the like, oh, well, they made a game of it. They came back, which tells me then why didn't you do that from the beginning?
Well, sometimes a team just goes on a run. Like, they have good players. They're going to make the tournament. Sometimes a team goes on a run. My argument that I think you'll agree with is you can't let that continue for 16 minutes. If it happens for 6, 7, 8 minutes, where they're doing similar things to like take you out of your rhythm and they're frustrating you, you have to be able to regroup and say, okay, they're doing this to us. We have to stop that.
I mean, right. But
it just took Cincinnati entirely too fucking long to like stop the bleeding. They had 1 turnover in the final 8 minutes. Why didn't you do that to start the second half? You go into halftime and you're like, these guys are punking us. We have 15 turnovers. They have 10 steals. Do not let them steal the ball again. And then in the first 8 minutes of the second half, they stole the ball like 5 more times. Ah! Right?
Yes. It's, you know, it's like you're watching the game much closer than I am, but like, especially in the first half, it just felt like Memphis was just playing with more aggression, more effort, more energy. It wasn't like they were doing anything defensively that was like, oh my God, we weren't prepared for this. We have no answer. It was just like they just were playing harder.
I mean, I want to agree with that, but how do you win on the glass by 12 against a team that's playing harder? That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I just meant from like when our turnovers were not out of like.
Yes. No, but you're right. There was one area that didn't make any sense. It wasn't like Cincinnati was playing soft or they were like overall. I'm talking in like a 10,000 feet view. They were doing a lot of things that showed that they were playing hard, toughness, whatever you want to say. And then there was one area that none of the other stuff matched in that one area. That's what made it frustrating as hell. That's why I said it was the most frustrating game I watched all season. Because it was like you're doing all the other stuff except that one thing. And you're just letting Memphis confuse the shit out of you or whatever it was. But it's a team that has taken care of the ball all year, and they just lost their fucking minds when it came to the one thing that was going to win them that game, because that's what Memphis wants to do to you. Penny's playing 5 or 6 different looks on defense this year, like pressure-wise. And if you can handle that, you can beat them. But if you can't handle that, they punk you. And they got punked. And it was frustrating as hell because we saw in the first 8 minutes of the game, that didn't happen. And in the last 8 minutes of the game, That didn't happen. So what the hell happened in the other 24 minutes?
Yeah, I can't imagine they did anything different like Memphis.
They did. They did because they switch constantly throughout the game. Like I said, he has 5 or 6 different like stuff that they do to pressure the ball that they have been switching through. And he found one that worked, but it's your job to shut that off. To say, okay, this is, you changed it up. You adjusted to our, like, what we wanted to do. Now it's our job to not let that change the game. And
Right.
Cincinnati did a terrible job of that.
It's like in football, running the same play over and over until the other team figures out a way to stop it. But like,
Yeah,
in basketball, it should be, you shouldn't just be like, well, I don't know what to do. We're just, we're just going to keep doing this.
they presented a pressure that Cincinnati like was uncomfortable with, and Cincinnati did a terrible job of the players on the court being tough enough to say, we're not just going to give the ball to you. Especially, we're not just going to give the ball to you, where the end result is you just going down and getting a layup or like an easy dunk.
Yeah.
It was like 6 turnovers for touchdowns, 12 points in a 1-score game down the stretch. Annoying, frustrating, angry. I have no idea the tiebreak if it happens with Tulane. I have no idea. Tulane beat Memphis twice, so I would assume that gives Tulane the tiebreak. The only team Cincinnati beat twice at the top of the standings is UCF, and they're 6th.
Yeah.
So when you're going down the tiebreak scenarios, I would guess Tulane holds the tiebreak. Because that would put Memphis, like if Tulane lost out, that would make Memphis 2nd, and Tulane beat Memphis twice.
Mm-hmm.
So that would, Cincinnati's going to play in the 4-5 game. I'm just assuming it's going to be Temple, which we have seen has been a very difficult matchup for the Bearcats.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, you got a senior day. They're losing to ECU at the moment. Wow.
Tulane is, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about Tulane. Senior day, get out there and give Dave the biggest damn ovation you can manage to give somebody. My God, that kid, the things he's put up with and like dealt with in his time here at Cincinnati. Get there early and give him a rousing ovation. Rousing ovation. Yeah, 4 games in 8 days because they had a makeup
And
game.
They play ECU back to back. They play them tonight and then in a couple days.
Yeah, and then they've got a game on Sunday, I think, as well. So
Right.
maybe they do lose out. I don't foresee that happening. Like they'll find a way to win one, I would guess. But go give Dave his flowers because there's a lot that's happened in this program over the past 3 years, and he has elevated himself from a good Bearcat to a guy that has scored, that has facilitated, that has become like their number 1 perimeter defender. Like the guy deserves, and he's done so much stuff. He's got a lot of Joey Votto in him. In that there's a bunch of stuff that Dave has done around town without cameras. Showing up at, like youth basketball leagues and helping, like, being a role model for the kids, being a good citizen, just because he feels that it's the right thing to do. Get there Sunday and give him his flowers. He deserves them. I'll be sad to see Dave go. You're on mute.
Yes, I agree. I mean, he's been kind of the face of the program for time. He's especially these last couple of years, I would say. I mean, I don't know if anybody wanted to be the face of the program 3 years ago.
It still was kind of him.
Yeah.
Kind of.
In a totally
He,
coincidental thing, like the by far heavy favorite of the Atlantic 10 fell flat on their face this year. I wonder what had to do with that.
no comment. No comment. By the time we're back next week, we'll know the seed. We'll know the time. I'm guessing Friday in that second game, which means I will be live on air on ESPN 1530 while the Bearcats play, probably Temple. I might just take my laptop and do a live watch party while I'm doing live radio.
How many people are going to be at that game?
If it's Cincinnati Temple at 3:30 tip off, because it's in Dallas, so the first game, the Houston game, won't be until 1. Not many.
I mean,
Not many. That's why it's so terrible to put that tournament in Dallas. That tournament should have always been in Memphis. Always, 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 always. The people of Memphis care about college basketball. They care about Memphis. Like, you put the tournament in Memphis every year. Yeah. Nobody wants to go to Dallas. SMU fans don't go to the tournament, and they live in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of a football guy, but the conference tournament in the Big 12 might be like the single event I'm looking forward to the most about moving to the Big 12.
Why?
Just because it's always been like a great event.
Yeah.
And it's even better event now that Brett Yormark is having a hipper, cooler, younger Big 12 NBA All-Star Weekend type of feel to it, with Shaq DJing this year and Fat Joe performing and Taste of the Big 12. Did you see that today?
I saw like that they're doing a thing that like they're having like a food from every city.
From every city. I can't wait till there's Coney dogs next year.
Brian, Fort Worth and Dallas are the same thing.
It's like
I can be from one to the other in 10 minutes. They're the same thing.
Union Center from downtown.
Yeah, they're the same thing. I know they're not culturally. I know they're actually different. Like Fort Worth is kind of old school and Dallas is like new and hip. But I can drive from one to the other in less time it takes me to get to Good Samaritan Hospital from Independence. They're the same thing. They might not like that I say that, but it's true.
Tyler Scott said earlier this week that he bets he'll run under Chris Johnson's number at the combine.
Love it. Mo and Tony were discussing the possibility of Wes having some difficult talks with everyone besides Vic and Landers. Thoughts? Wes disagrees with that.
Here's my thoughts on that.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
No, you and I talked about this earlier. I don't care. Like, I get that people love to do the roster construction thing, and I know this is a bad take for a podcast. I don't care. I just want to win games. If that means some of the guys on this team come back, if it means all of the guys come back, if it means none of the guys, I don't care anymore. You know, COVID year notwithstanding, or withstanding, however you say that, I don't know. Like, we're going on 4 years without making the tournament. I know one of those years there wasn't a tournament.
They would have made it.
They might have made it. They might have. They probably would have. We don't know. But we're going on 4 years. Like, I don't really care at this point. And I'm not thinking we're going to make it next year. So however Wes thinks the best way to build this roster for next year is, sure, whatever. Just win more games.
Yeah.
Don't like. I know they can't lose to ECU anymore. Like, actually can't. Don't lose any more games. Like, don't lose any more
Physically
games
can't
like
lose
that.
to ECU. Yeah.
Yeah, like don't lose any more games like that. I'm tired of it. Like, make the tournament, have me refreshing bubble matrix or bracket matrix, and like however you need to get that done, get it done. I will support regardless of how it goes because I just don't care.
Gray Bush asked Tony and Mo. Like you know my argument the entire time. We will worry about the Big 12 when this season is over and we find out what the roster is going to look like, and
Right.
we will talk about the Big 12 at that point in time.
Like,
I don't care.
How can I possibly I mean, they could have 4 new players, they could have 2 new players, they could have no new players.
Right.
I can't possibly give an assessment on what I think that's like.
Half of the Big 12 could go to the NBA.
I mean, Iowa State turned over practically their entire roster. So like I don't think anybody
and now they're falling apart and are falling back to the bubble.
Right, but I just mean like if their fans were having this conversation at this time last year, they would have had like they were 2 and whatever. They would have had no idea what this next season was going to behold because they don't have any idea what the roster is going to be.
Right. They need Cincinnati needs a real big time coach like TJ Otzelberger or Jerome Tang, or like, come on, you guys got to stop with this, like the silliness, the nonsense.
Jerome Tang is a good coach.
I agree. He has proven to be a good coach. And do you
also
consider Jerome Tang a big time coach?
No.
It took him 30 years to get a head coaching job.
It took him forever to get a head coaching job. Right. And maybe that's somebody else's fault. Obviously.
Sure.
But no.
Like Jerome Tang is not Bill Self. Look what's going on at Oklahoma State. They had momentum for like 2 or 3 years because they hired a guy's brother. Like they built what people thought was like a sustainable foundation. Now they're struggling. West Virginia has a Hall of Fame coach. He's not building great Big 12 rosters.
Oh, I did.
How about
I did want to
find out what Cincinnati looks like in the Big 12 when they play in the Big 12?
Right. Do you want to hear something funny? I looked this up today, actually.
Yes.
Do you know how many Big 12 conference games were Tier 1 or Tier 2? Or Quad 1, Quad 2?
Like all of them, right?
All of them. Do you know how many Quad 1, Quad 2 conference games UC played this year?
4?
Actually, more than that.
6.
9.
That's half.
Yes.
That's
So
half. That's not.
But that's like it's just, and again, next year, who knows what the Big 12 is going to, it's probably not going to be historically good as it was this year. Like,
right.
But I mean, you're literally like, this is what we've talked about for how many years of like your opportunities.
Yeah.
Like you literally have an opportunity every night for 2 months.
For Quad 1 and Quad 2 wins.
Right. 2.5 months now, really. I mean, you start conference play January 1 and it goes to the middle of March. Like, 2.5 months, you have an opportunity to, to better your record and get you a chance. So, like, I'm not going to count them out because, I mean, look at, like, West Virginia, multiple game losing record in conference, like, still in play for the tournament. Right. Texas Tech, same thing. Oklahoma State, same thing. So, you gotta put together a roster with some dudes. I have a feeling there's going to be. I don't think it's going to be 0. I don't think it's going to be 4. And you see
somewhere 2 to 3. There will be somewhere between 2 to 3 new roster spots open.
You see what
I don't think it'll be 1. I don't think it'll be 4. Somewhere between 2 to 3 new players that aren't yet signed will be on this roster. Probably closer to 2. 3, you never know what happens when you have these conversations at the end of the year. Again, that's another thing we've talked about. There's been a bunch of situations over the last 2 years between football and basketball where going into the talk, we thought for sure we knew what was about to happen. And then the talk happened between the coach and the player, and all of a sudden, it was completely different than what we thought. You don't know until they sit down and talk. I think there will be more than one. I think there will be less than 4. We'll find out from there.
Perfect. And I have nothing else.
Sorry.
Because
I don't either.
I've hit my 2-hour limit.
My daughter's trying to get my dog to go outside and go to the bathroom.
For those newbies that don't know about my 2-hour limit.
We are at 2 hours exactly. 2 hours and 1 minute. So that's it for the night. We'll see you next week. It'll be another Wednesday night at 8 because the Bearcats don't play. So we'll see you then. That was the BCJ podcast, brought to you by the Holy Grail, right here on BearcatJournal.com.